Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Crypto Watch. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday, and hope everyone is having a good Father's Day, right, for today. Yep, so I'm back, right? The trade engineer is back again, right, for today. And today is a very exciting episode, right, because of all the events that have occurred for cryptocurrency, right, in the past week alone. Right. So today will be something that I guess will be very interesting for all of you, and for all of you who are tuning in live. I hope this will add some value to all of you. Right. So today we're going to talk about whether this is the end of crypto. Right. There is a lot of bearish news in the market for cryptocurrency. Right. And there are a lot of naysayers, right, that say that this is the end of cryptocurrency. Right. All the cryptocurrency coins are going to crash. Right. We are going to see a downturn. But are we going to really see that? Right. What does the future hold for crypto? And is it actually time to sell all your crypto holdings? Right, so today I will delve into some of these points, and I hope this will add value to all of you out there who are either crypto investors or traders. Right, before I do so, right, before I delve into the topic proper, right, if you are here live with me, right, do give this video a like so that I know that you are here live with me. Right, so let's give me some likes, give me some love, right, and I will start the session soon. Right, so for those of you who are tuning in to me for the first time, but I've been on a hiatus, right, for about, I think about 2 to 3 weeks, right, so I'm back again. So I'm none other than the trade engineer, right, TTE for short. And I have 6 to 7 years of trading experience, right, I've traded numerous instruments such as stocks, futures, forex, and cryptocurrency, right, and helped numerous aspiring traders unlock their best trade and unleash the trading potential within them. All these using just some simple yet effective techniques. And I will show you today how to employ some of these strategies. Right, but before we delve into the session deeper, right, some disclaimers down here. Right, for the accuracy information ensure as far as possible, right, there will be no responsibility taken for any loss of inconvenience created by any omission or error. The ideas presented here tonight are just for reference and educational purposes only. The presentation today is also not intended in any way to give trading advice or recommendation to buy or sell any trading instrument. And me, the trade engineer, shall not have any liability for any loss or expense whatsoever relating to the trading decisions undertaken by you, the audience. Last but not least, all copyrights reserved. Now, with that out of the way, right, let's delve into the topic proper, right? Whether this is the end of cryptocurrency, right? And to answer that, right, we just let's take a look at the Bitcoin price chart. Like Bitcoin being the leader of all cryptocurrency, but it would basically showcase, right, the direction of cryptocurrency, right? So let's see the price chart, right? So this is a price chart on the daily chart, right, for Bitcoin. Right, you can see that it has come up quite a fair bit, right, since 2020, right, all the way to now, and it has crashed quite a fair bit as well, right, since last year, right. In fact, right, if we delve into the price further, right, you can see the all-time high was clocked, right, just last year, right, on 10th of November 2021, right, the highest price clock was about $68,990 US, right. And fast forward to today, right? Today it is trading less than $20,000. Right? In fact, today itself is already less than 20,000. Right? So it has crashed a fair amount. Right? In fact, you do the math, it's about more than 70% drop, and that is quite tough, right? Considering that it is a little over 6 months, right? This has occurred, right? So this is quite spectacular. And now we ask, like, why? Why is that so? So if you have been following the news, since last year till now, I think you have got quite a good idea of why Bitcoin has fallen so far, right? I mean, there are a lot of articles out there that have come up with some postulations of why this is so, right? And let's examine some of these theories from some of this news article. Right, so here's a recent article, right, from the 18th, just yesterday, right? And we actually saw Bitcoin actually fell below the 20K mark over the weekend. Right? In fact, it dropped below 17,800 like just yesterday, right? As the sell-off actually accelerated. Right, so you can see, it wasn't just on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin fell, and the rest of the cryptocurrency also fell, right? Ether also fell, and that was quite a tremendous drop. So this is from CNBC, and let's delve deeper into the article. Right, so this article mentions that that there's this carnage, right, in this crypto market, right? And why did it happen? Right, that some reasons cited here, such as macroeconomic forces. Right, so if you follow the news, there is this overriding inflation, right, that's surrounding us now, right? Everything is going up, price is going up, everything around us, is going up in terms of price. Right, and with that, the Fed has also increased the interest rates, right? In fact, just last week, it just hike the interest rate for the highest ever, right? 0.75 basis point. Right, so that's the highest ever in quite some time. Right, and we have also seen blue chip and crypto track equities lower, right? So there is that correlation between cryptocurrency and equities. Right, and there is in recent news as well, we have heard crypto firms are doing some massive layoff, right? Employees are given the sack, right? For big crypto firms, right? Crypto firms that you wouldn't imagine that would be laying off workers until the news reported just recently. Yep, and there is also some companies, some crypto firms that are facing solvency meltdowns, right? And I believe you have heard about Celsius, right? Celsius is the latest casualty. So let's do a quick track back, right, of this this particular week, right? It was an eventful week, right, for cryptocurrency. So let's start off with Monday, right? Very Monday, right? Last week, right? That was when all these hoo-ha started occurring. The week started right on Monday, right? Monday, basically crypto prices already started plummeting, right? And on that very day, right, Celsius is that major crypto staking and lending firm. If some of you guys don't know about it, right? Actually, shocked the market right on that particular day by announcing that all withdrawals, swaps, transfers have all been paused, right, due to extreme market conditions. Right, and at that time there were these alarm bells that rang off, right, because it is a big crypto staking and lending firm, right? And basically by pausing everything, by pausing all the withdrawal, it basically means that there is something going on, something it might be facing some trouble, and you can see later on in the week, right, it really did have some sort of trouble, right? So Celsius, right, effectively lock up about 12 billion, right? That is a tremendous amount of money, 12 billion US dollars in crypto assets under its management. And that actually raised some concerns about solvency, right? Platform solvency. Right. So this news actually, make headway, make ripple across the whole cryptocurrency industry, and cause more people to actually sell cryptocurrency. Right, so this actually reminded all of us, right, of what happened just 1 month ago, right? 1 month ago in May, right? And I also talk about that in quite a bit of detail, right, in May, where we have that stable coin, right? That stable coin UST, right? That UST also basically lost tremendous amount of value, almost close to zero value, in fact. Right, so that was also a stark reminder of what had happened, right, just only 1 month ago. Right, and a lot of people have been putting money into Celsius. Right, I'm sure you have heard of Celsius as well. For those of you who are avid crypto investors, you probably have heard of Celsius, and some of you might have actually put money in there because it is touted as a a platform, right, that you can actually earn tremendous amount of yield, right, better than your bank, right. In fact, you can earn up to like 18.63, right, at one point, right, on their deposits, right. So you compare that to the interest rate the bank will offer, right. That's something that will entice a lot of people to actually put their money to earn more dividends, right, or more money, right. Yeah, but there is that drawback as well, right? It doesn't have those kind of regulatory safeguards as compared to a bank, right? But some people just took the risk, right? Some people just took the risk and still put in money into Celsius, right? Because it is a bit irresistible, right? You can earn 18.63% of yield, right? So actually, that was basically that was that amount of risk, right? And in fact, this guy actually, this vice president of crypto assets and blockchain research, John Tornado, right, actually said this risk was, just the beginning. Right, so actually, he also mentioned that there are a lot of decentralized, areas in cryptocurrency, right? The DeFi protocols, right, all are over collateralized, right? So there could be a lot of liquidations, right, with these collaterals being sold off on the DeFi protocols, right? This is another risk, right, that could emerge. Right, and let's go to the next day, right? Tuesday, right? Tuesday, there's also another big set of news, right? We were just digesting the news of Celsius, right? And another firm, right? Another crypto firm actually announced some bearish news as well. And this crypto firm is none other than Coinbase, right? So this Coinbase, right? It recently also IPO in the US market, right? It's also a very big crypto firm, and it announced, right, that it is laying off a fifth of its workforce, right? That is very substantial, a fifth of its workforce, right? And the reason cited was crypto volatility, right? In fact, the company had previously cut spending and took back some job offers, right, in the hope of stabilizing business. But it seems like, right, it doesn't work out, right? That's why it actually had to lay off workers as well. Right, so actually, it also cited that the inflation, that higher than expected inflation has also a play, right? And this is not the only one, right? This is not the only company that is laying off. A lot of cryptocurrency companies across the board, right, are looking for ways to cut costs, right? And with the high inflation rate, investors are also rotating out of risky assets, right? And increasingly, right, the cryptocurrency is seen as a risky asset that they want to rotate out from, right? So this has put down trading volumes, and it has affected the whole cryptocurrency market, right? So we look at other companies like crypto.com, right? Another big company, right? Crypto.com also announced staff reduction of 260 people, right? Gemini, right, also said that it would lay off 10% of workforce, right? And this is the first for a US-based cryptocurrency exchange. And let's look at next day, the very next day, Wednesday, right? Wednesday, there's another company, right, called MicroStrategy, right? And CEO actually appeared, like, on CNBC, right, to discuss concern about his firm. So actually, he mentioned, like, the CEO actually mentioned that he had actually made a 4 billion bet on Bitcoin, right? And, this company actually, doubles out as the first and only Bitcoin spot exchange traded fund, right? ETF, right? So if you invest in MicroStrategy, right, you are investing, you're the closest investing in the Bitcoin ETF, right, an exchange traded fund, right? But one thing that was a bit of a concern, right, was that this company, MicroStrategy, had actually used company debt to purchase Bitcoin, right? So they are actually in debt, right? And they actually borrowed 205 million using his Bitcoin as collateral, right? So with Bitcoin prices going down, right, it is going to be quite a problem for this company, right? They have 5 billion in collateral, they borrowed 200 million, right? Right, and this public traded crypto miner, Marathon Digital, also took out a credit line with the Silvergate Bank, right? So so there's this concern, right, as what I mentioned over here, right, as the Bitcoin prices tank, right, even lower this weekend, right, there there is that the company would be asked to put up more collateral for its loan, right? Well, of course, the company, this MicroStrategy CEO came out and say, oh, all these fears are overblown, right? But of course, we did see a lot of these CEOs coming out and say that, oh, it's overblown, but in few days later, things actually go downhill as well. So we should just take this, what he says with a pinch of salt, right? And there could be actually some legit concerns over here. Right, on Wednesday itself as well, right? As we all know, on Wednesday, the Fed also increased its interest rate, right? So last week they actually came out with that inflation report, and it was higher than expected. So it was it was expected, right, that the Fed will actually increase the interest rate higher than expected. In fact, at first they were thinking that it would only be 0.5 percentage point, but after the report last week, right, analysts were pointing towards a 0.75 percentage point. And indeed, it raised its interest rate by 0.75 point. And that was the most aggressive hike, right, since 1994, right? That was so long ago, right? 1994. And reason cited here, right, is to curb the sky high inflation, right? No surprises there. Right, so as we all know, right, if we look back at what happened after the announcement of this news, right, everything actually had a short rally, right? Equities had a rally, cryptocurrency also had a rally, right? So because people thought that, oh, they are doing something, the Fed is doing something, so that we might actually avoid a recession. Right, but after that, it seems like a knee-jerk reaction, right, because actually, it actually came down shortly after. Right, and we look at Thursday, right? What happened on Thursday? Right, so you see the rally was really short-lived. The very next day on Thursday, right, we saw equities falling off, right? The Wall Street fell, Dow fell, S&P 500 fell, right? So and it fell a tremendous amount, right? Dow actually fell 700 points to its lowest level in more than a year. Right, so there is still that concern, that nagging concern of recession, right? Because some people say that, oh, all these are supply side issues for the inflation, right? So by actually increasing the interest rate, they're actually not doing anything to solve the problem here, right? And they think that some people think that the recession will still come even with this what the Fed has done, right? And some people also say that it might take some time for cryptocurrencies to recover from the sell-off in riskier assets. Right, and let's take a look at what happened after that, from Friday to Saturday, right? Just yesterday. Right, and we saw that basically the selling continued, right? Bitcoin, Ether, and a lot of other cryptocurrencies continue to sell off, right? And as you all know, Saturday it fell below 20K for the first time in quite a while, right? So there is still that concern, right? As well as happened in the week, right? Crypto hedge funds, businesses are all facing questions about insolvency, right? People are not confident that they will survive, right? So they will not survive through this whole downturn, or whole bearish market. So people start selling off their cryptocurrency assets, right? So this guy, right, said that he had this comment, like, we had financial instability because of this opaque leverage, and you just couldn't tell where all these risks were building up, right? So this is a Paxco CEO, right, who actually mentioned to CNBC, right? So in fact, right, you are actually borrowing short and lending long, right? And we all know that when you borrow short and lend long, there is a huge amount of risk, right? But on the flip side, right? He does offer some hope for the future, right? In fact, he mentioned here that investors are still looking for quality crypto investments, right? So there could be light at the end of the tunnel, right? Crypto might not die out, right? It might not die out. It may be that during this whole period of time, right? Those that can survive will become even stronger in the future, and those that die off, basically. it's like, you know, a case of natural attrition, right? So you know, it could be good for the whole crypto market, right? Where you actually weed out those that are not too good, and you actually only allow the strong ones to survive, right? So it's a test of how good the fundamentals are, and you know, there could be an opportunity to scale into those more fundamentally strong cryptocurrency coins. Right, so I think that's what he's pointing out here, right? And some there's you know, some what other people have said on this as well. Right, I mean, look at another article, right? This is taken from marketwatch.com, right? And over here, right, you also mentioned another point, right, that I'd like to mention to all of you, right? So there is this crypto crash, right? It mentioned that Celsius, as you all know, had some problem, and there's this company as well, 3 Arrows, right? So this is new, and I'll delve into detail on that, right? So Celsius, we already know already, right? It actually paused withdrawal, swap, and transfer, right? And you can see that, you know, it actually really did have a problem, right? Because it actually hired restructuring lawyers, right, to address some of its mounting financial problems, right? And at the same time, right, this hedge fund called Three Arrows Capital, right, is a quite influential hedge fund. I guess some of you might have heard of it as well, right? So there is that rumor, right, that this hedge fund could be encountering, you know, potential stress, right? Because there was this tweet, like, from its founder, right, very vague tweet that said that, you know, we are in the process of communicating with relevant parties and are fully committed to working this out, right? So what are they communicating, right? If there's no problem, you know, why are they communicating with relevant parties? Right, so as what was suspected, right, on Wednesday, right, it actually was reported, right, that Three Arrows was in the process of figuring out how to repay lenders and counterparties, right, and this was because it was liquidated by the top tier lending firms in the space, right? So that, you know, it is also encountering some financial trouble over here, right? And if you look at how much it was, you know, managing, right, it's managing a lot of assets, right? It's 10 billion in assets. So if it actually falls, you know, and crashes, you know, that's $10 billion of assets coming down, right? Crashing down. That's going to send shock waves across the whole industry. Right? And you know, this firm, right, Three Arrows, actually is holding 6% or more than 6% of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Right? Some of you might not know what is it, but basically it is the world's largest Bitcoin fund, like as of 2020 December. Right? So holding 6% of it is quite a substantial amount, right, for the world's biggest Bitcoin fund. And if this firm comes crashing down, this 6% is enough to, you know, send Bitcoin spiraling down once again, right? Right, and let's look at another article, right? Just to get more perspective on this whole crypto sell-off. Right, so this is taken from New York Times, right? Recently as well. And in this article, right, it actually, you know, delved into detail, right, of this stablecoin, right? This stablecoin called USDT, right? So we have seen UST falling down. USDT has survived, but you know, this article actually mentioned that, you know, there could be a concern for USDT as well. It might not be as stable as it appears to be. Right? In fact, this article was also posted in the Straits Times today as well. So you can take a look on the Straits Times if you haven't done so already. Right, so you know, in this article, it mentioned that, you know, there is this concern over Tether, USDT, right, and its potential vulnerability, right. In fact, USDT has been facing heightened pressure, right, from everyone, right, regulators, investors, economic, and, you know, even skeptics themselves will all argue, right, that this could be the next one to fall in an even bigger crash, right. And this, if USDT actually falls, right, it is going to be huge, right, be even bigger than what we saw for UST and what we have seen, you know, in the past week so far, right? Because, you know, what's mentioned, you know, over here, right, for this guy, and I totally agree as well, is that Tether is really the lifeblood of the crypto ecosystem, right? So if it actually falls, right, you know, the whole cryptocurrency backbone is actually toppled, toppled, right? And without a backbone, it is going to fall big time. Right, so Tether, right, for some background for those of you who aren't too sure what's Tether, right, it is the dominant issuer of stablecoins, right, and it is usually pegged, right, to a stable asset, right. So usually, one USDT is equals to $1, right. That was how it was structured to be, right. And it is backed by large reserve of funds, or other financial engineering, right. So this is actually, so as to allow, right, crypto traders around the world, right, to conduct, safe, predictable transactions without relying on banks, right, or other ways of financial keepers. Right, so Tether itself, right, USDT, actually claims that its stablecoins are backed by cash and other traditional assets, right? So its reserves are actually essential to the health of the crypto market. Right, but there is some discrepancy over here, right, or some contest over here, right, about what it is claiming, right. So if you look at the company's financial statement, right, a significant portion of reserve, right, actually tied up in unsecured corporate debt, right. This is known as the commercial paper, right. And these financial instruments, right, are typically more risky, right, and harder to quickly convert into cash, right. And this is especially so, right, when we are in a financial turmoil, right? We are in a recession, where we are in the market is bearish, super bearish, right? There could be this concern, right, that USDT might be hard to convert into cash, right? And this is some basically a concern that we're facing right now, right? Because there is this concern that the market is going for a downturn, right? It might be going for a recession. And if that happens and we cannot convert our USDT to USD, right, then that would basically exacerbate the whole recession or exacerbate the whole bearish momentum, right, and could lead to an even bigger bubble, right. So in fact, right, like just last year, right, New York's Attorney General, right, actually fined USDT, whopping 18.5 million, right, saying that the company has lied about its reserve and calling it a stablecoin without stability. Right, that's a big claim. And it's made by quite a prominent guy, right? So that's something we have to consider, right, at the back of our mind. Right. So if a lot of people, some people who are critical about Tether, right, basically say that actually acting as a loosely regulated bank, right, and this is a bit of a concern, right, especially when Tether has about 70 billion coins, right. That's a whopping amount, 70 billion coins, right, in circulation. And that is, you do the math, it's actually 3 times the size of UST, right? 3 times the size of UST before the crash. Right. So, if a downturn occurs, right, what could happen? Right, what could happen? Some people say, right, that it could spark a crypto equivalent of a bank run. Right. So what does this mean, right? So basically, crypto traders might all rush to exchange their USDT for USD, right? And only to discover that USDT cannot fulfill all these orders, right? There are too many orders at the same time, right? And that will imply, right, investors might lose billions of dollars, and it might continue as what we saw for UST, right? People rush to sell all their UST holdings, and it just escalated and a point of no return, right? It create just more panic in the market, and this might even spill into non-crypto markets, right? Just like how UST got plummeted last month, right? So at that time, right, when UST was plummeting, a flood of investors were actually asking to exchange their UST for dollars, right? Or actually, no, this is USDT, right? So actually, last month with UST in trouble, right, USDT also had a taste of that, right, where a flood investor actually asked to exchange the USDT, right, for USD. And Tether, right, USDT actually was forced to pay out an eighth of its reserve, right? That's about 10 billion, and in a very short time, over a week and a half, right? It also briefly, dropped below that $1 peg, right, for a brief moment. right? But eventually it met the demand, and it actually claimed that, oh, you see, we can survive, right, through that crisis, right? So we are, it has weathered the test of time, or weathered the test of that condition, right? Are we celebrating too soon, right? Are we celebrating too soon? Like yes, mentioned like that its stablecoin are fully backed by US dollars. But of course, that New York Attorney General has called it a lie, right? In fact, right, a few years earlier, right, we go back, rewind a few years earlier, right, a cryptocurrency exchange affiliated with USDT has actually lost 850 million in a business deal gone sour, right? And to cover those losses, that was gone sour, right, the exchange actually took loan from Tether Reserve, right, and that actually left the stablecoin, right, the USDT, partially unbacked, right. And USDT actually also paid some penalties, 18.5 million in penalties, and it just cited that there was this communication misstep. But was it really, like, was it really a communication misstep? Right, and last October, right, the commission also found that over a 26-month period, right, between 2016 to 2018, USDT had actually only held sufficient reserve, right? And this is stunning, right? It only held sufficient reserve only 25% of the time, a quarter of the time, right? It's not even 100%, not even 50%. It's only a quarter of the time. And because of that, it has to pay a 41 million fine to the commission. But that's that's a concern, right? If it doesn't have sufficient reserve, when people ask to transfer to USDT, we have enough reserve to actually fulfill that demand, right? And since the New York settlement, Tether has also issued periodic statement disclosing the composition of reserve. But all these previous news has also formed in people's mind, right? That that might be it might be lying, it might be not telling the truth, right? So it's very done little to squash skepticism. Right. So last month, USDT revealed that a quarter reserve, right, consisted of commercial paper was down 4 billion from February. At the same time, it also increased exposure to money market funds. Right. And he also mentioned that 5 billion of reserves were tied in other investments, including digital currencies. But critics also argued that in this report, that this is essentially a wash, right, with the project still lacking any kind of stability that many investors expect. So we are quite a bit unclear down here, right, whether it is really that stable or is it not that stable, right? But do bet there are these concerns, right, for USDT, and this may also be one of the catalysts that might cause further downside to the cryptocurrency market. Right, so this is just some of the background that I share with all of you, right, on some of the fundamental reasons, some of the background, right, surrounding this whole cryptocurrency sell-off, right, and what to look out for in the future. Right, there could be other news article or other articles, right, on this, right, so you can do check it out as well. Yeah, just some of the key information, right. Yep. So that's just some brief background. But before I go into the other sections proper, right, don't forget to click that like or love button, right. Just help me like or love this, right, if you're enjoying the sharing so far. Right. And let's move on, right, to the next section, right. Right. So we have talked about a lot about news, right? But news aside, right? Do you recall that I was actually bearish on Bitcoin in the long term, right? And in fact, I actually shared my bearishness just 1 month ago, right? 1 month ago, right? That time it was still trading above 20K, right? Closer to 30K, right? And at that time I was already saying that it might be bearish in the long term, right? And but some of you might have forgotten about that. So let's quickly do a quick recap, right, on that. Right, so you can go back to my video, right? I shared on this Facebook group as well, right? On 15th of May, right, of my Bitcoin analysis. right? So you can check back this video, right, on 15th of May, right? The other time I invited Financial Missy with me, right, and we did talk about Bitcoin, and its outlook, right? So I did share my longer term perspective of Bitcoin as well during that session, right? And let's look into the further detail, right? So at that time, this was the price chart taken then, right? This is a presentation slide that I also sneak from there. So what I mentioned then, right, on 15th of May, right, first of all, I mentioned that this bearish divergence, right, on the weekly chart, right? So this was the old price chart, right? So you can see the price making a higher high, right, but the RSI making a lower high, right? So this is something known as the bearish divergence, and this was on the weekly chart. So this is the first indication, right, of some signs of people might be cryptocurrency prices or Bitcoin prices might be due for a fallback, right, or might be due to correct down. I also did mention this as well on the weekly chart, right? The first horizontal support, right, on this weekly chart, at that time it was about 28,900, right? And it was testing that level at that time, right? So I did mention then that if there's a sustained breakdown of this level, it could be confirmation of a continued downtrend, right? If not, there could be a bounce, right? But what we saw after that was it basically broke down below this horizontal support and went all the way down to where we are now, right below 20K. Right, and even at the end of it, I also did mention, right, in my suggested trading plan, right, I also did include a note down here, that in the longer term, right, if the first horizontal support of 28,900 on the weekly chart is broken convincingly, there could be further downward pressure and bearish momentum for Bitcoin. Yep, and that is exactly what has happened, right, ever since then, right, 1 month later. Right, so this is before any of the news came out, before any of this bearish news came out, right? Just simply by looking at some price action of Bitcoin, we are able to tell that there could be some signs for us to get out if we are long-term investors, right? I hope everyone took heed and action then, right? But that is still the past already, right? Let's look forward. What is the outlook of Bitcoin moving forward, right? I'm sure all of you are interested. Now that Bitcoin is below 20K, right? What is the outlook moving forward? But before I delve deeper, right? Don't forget to click that like or love button if you're enjoying the sharing so far. All right, and let's now delve into the future, right? Future outlook of Bitcoin, right? What's next for Bitcoin? Right, so over here, right, I first talk about the long term, right? On the weekly chart, right? Before I go into the daily chart, right? So on the longer term, on the weekly chart, right, I did sketch out some lines down here and put in some indicators. So let me go through them one by one. Right, so first of all, I had these two lines down here, right? Two descending lines that are parallel to each other, right? So you can see that the price is recently just trading, within these two lines, right? It is something called the descending channel, right? This is the downtrend line, this line, the downtrend line, and these two lines make up the descending channel. So you can see that the price is trading below this downtrend line, and the price, is forming a lower high and lower lows, right, in this descending channel, right? So basically, to form a descending channel, it definitely has to be lower highs and lower lows, right? And trading 101 tells us that lower highs, lower lows basically means that downtrend would continue, right? So if this continues, right, bearish momentum might persist, right? If it's continues staying in the channel, right? There could be some bounce up, right? But this could be the resistance and it's actually bounce back down, So we just trade, how it did here, right? Up, down, and by on the long term, right, it's going down. If it stays within the channel. And also on a weekly chart, right, we can sketch out the new horizontal supports, right? So as of lately, right, it is testing this first support, right? it is at its first horizontal support, right? This corresponds to about 17,500 to 17,600. Right? It was the support here as well, and that was some time ago already. Right? So all eyes on this horizontal support. This is the critical level, right? I believe this is quite a critical level. So if it's actually, it might be strongly supported by this level, and if that happens, we could see a bounce back up. In fact, I think Bitcoin is currently trading about 19,000, right, plus, right? So that could be, this support might be convincingly supported. But if this key level is broken, right? If this key level is broken, then we might be looking at lower levels, right? So other support levels to watch out for is the second horizontal support, right? Which is quite some way lower, about 12,000 to 12,400, right? Or the lower channel line, right? This also acts as a support as well. So if this breaks, we could be looking at either this horizontal line or this lower channel line. Right, but on the flip side of things, right, if it makes a bounce up, right, we could be seeing resistance level being tested, right? And in this case, is a horizontal resistance level. The first resistance level, right, it will be at 28,000 to 29,000, right? So this was the support over here and the support over here as well, right? And if this level breaks, right, which means it breaks up, right, we could be looking at the second horizontal resistance, right? And that is probably somewhere around here, about 34,000 to 35,000, right? Which was support over here, right? If not, it could be also this upper channel line, which also corresponds to the downtrend line, right? This could also be the resistance to watch out for. Right, and let's look into a shorter time frame, right? On the daily chart, so we do have our channel, our descending channel down here, right? The two parallel lines. And let's examine it into more detail, right? Over here, you can see that I've included the simple moving average, right? And basically, it's the 50-day simple moving average and the 200-day simple moving average, right? So this is, this line here is the 50-day simple moving average, right? The darker line. And the lighter line, right, is actually the 200-day simple moving average. So first of all, I like to point out that the 50-day simple moving average is still less than the 200-day simple moving average, right? You can see ever since here, right here, it has been moving below that 200-day moving average, right? And the gap has been increasing, right, recently, right? And the Bitcoin price is also trading below both the 50 SMA and the 200-day SMA. So these are two signs of bearishness, right? And it could imply that the bearishness of Bitcoin might continue, right? Might continue, but of course, this is just an indication, right? Moving averages are typically a bit lagging, right? So just do take this as just your pinch of salt, right? And RSI, right? RSI on the daily time frame, right? So RSI wise, right? This is RSI. And I actually included one more line down here, right, corresponding to about RSI of 50. I can see something very interesting down here, right? It appears, right? It appears that RSI 50, is the current resistance, right? So every time it hits, somewhere close to RSI 50, right, it will be resisted and it falls back down, right? It happened here, it happened here as well, right? So and you can see that it continued to go down. And currently, right, it is actually at the oversold region, right? It is below the RSI 30. And it is also, and as I pointed out earlier, it was close to the horizontal support at about 17,500. Right? So there is that possibility, right, of a bounce towards the RSI 50. Right? There could be that possibility. But if not, it could be headed for lower support levels, right? Either the lower channel line or the lower horizontal support levels, right? As mentioned earlier. MACD wise, right? On a daily time frame, you can see that it's also negative, right? The gap has also been quite big, quite negative, right? And if this continues, right, bearish momentum might continue. Right? If not, if it actually takes a U-turn and then become less negative or even make a crossover and become positive, right? Then there could be a slight bounce up in prices, and that could be a confirmation for us to go long on the short term, right? On the short term. So with that being said, what is my suggested trading plan? Right, on this note, right, just like I mentioned once again, right, that this is my own opinion, right? Please do your own due diligence as well, right? So from my own perspective, right, I always believe there is both opportunities to long and short, right? Because I'm a trader and I look at shorter time frames, right? But of course, you look at the longer time frame, it might be a different story. Right, so for short-term trading plan, right, I emphasize again, this is short-term, right? There could be opportunity to long, right, which means to buy low and sell high, right? So you can enter right a long position, right? If this first horizontal support is actually very convincingly supported, but of course, as we all trades, we do have to set a cut loss slightly below this level, right? And we can take first take profit price, right, when RSI actually hits that 50 level mark, right? Or we hit that first horizontal resistance high of 28,000, right? Whichever comes first, right? And we can take the second take profit price, right, at somewhere corresponding to this downtrend line, right? So we are playing on the basis that it might be bouncing back up, and ultimately might hit this downtrend line right at the resistance level. Right. On the other hand, there could be opportunity to short as well. Right. I would say that shorting at this price, it might come down further, right? But it might be a bit risky, right? Because it has, after all reached the RSI oversold region, right? And there could be some support coming in. So if you do want to short, right, you do want to short Bitcoin, which means to sell first and buy back later, but maybe you want to wait for prices to rebound towards a resistance level, right, under this upper channel line, which is the downtrend line, and see that it fails to break past it convincingly, right, before doing a short, right. We also want to see maybe some other indications like MACD, right, turning more negative, right, and that could be that confirmation to go short as well, right. So this is just my own opinion. Once again, right, do your own due diligence before trading or investing in Bitcoin. Right, and that actually concludes my analysis, my quick analysis for Bitcoin. Right, do let me know what you think of my analysis, and if you actually found value in my sharing so far, right, don't forget to give this video a like or a love, right. All right, and before I end off for tonight, right, just some reminders, right, down here, right. First of all, right, if you haven't joined my Facebook group, you can consider joining my Facebook group, right, for other resources and sharing, right. I have a Facebook group down here. The handle is shown down here at tte.the.trade.engineer, right. So you can join my Facebook group where I share some of my resources, right? And I also talk about other things, right? Not just about cryptocurrency, but also on stocks, futures, and anything related to trading. Right, but just a reminder down here to answer the membership questions before applying. Right, and you can consider following me on my social media pages as well. Right, so I have a variety of them. I have my Facebook page, right? I also have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, right? So you can join me on any of these, right, to see to glean more value. Right. So in my TikTok channel, I usually post some quick summary of some of my things that I discuss in some of these videos. Right. So you can check them out if you haven't done so already. Right, and last but not least, right, if you like my sharing for tonight, right, don't forget to hit that like or love button, right, so that the Facebook algorithm can push this out to more people and more people can benefit from this, right. Also, right, do leave a comment down below, right, and share this video to those of people around you that whom you think can benefit from this as well, right. And with that being said, right, it has been a long evening, right. Thank you for staying with me all the way. For those of you who are still with me live, right, I hope all you have gleaned something valuable out of this, right, and have some direction on what to do with the in the crypto market, for next week and beyond. Right. So stay safe, everyone. right? Have all the best in trading or investing. Be careful, and protect your capital, right? Now it's a pretty risky period, so let's caution everyone to be safe and be careful, right? So, yep. With that, have a good evening ahead, and see you guys again next week, next Sunday, at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Right? See you guys and take care. Good night.